Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over some severe storms which are going to be taking place over much of the central and eastern part of the country. We're going to be seeing storms from New Mexico and Texas all the way up to Wisconsin, Michigan, and even upstate New York and some of the areas even further north of there. So we're going to be dealing with a wide, vast area that's going to be dealing with some severe storms. We already have a slight risk of severe weather in parts of Wisconsin, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas for today. And that's only going to continue to expand over the next couple of days as well. We have chilly air to the west and humid air to the east. So let's get right into it, and let's start off with your current National Weather Service page. You can see that we have a few red flag warnings scattered throughout parts of the southwest, as well as for the entire state of New Hampshire and coastal southern Maine. We also have some flood watches not too far away from the red flag warnings in parts of central Oklahoma and northernmost Texas. We have some winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories in northern Colorado and southern Wyoming. And other than that, really not a whole lot going on in terms of watches and warnings today. Yesterday, we had a high temperature in Rio Grande Village where they had to 104 degrees Fahrenheit. That's in Texas. Mount Washington, New Hampshire recorded the low temperature for the contiguous United States. They got down to 8 degrees Fahrenheit. They are at about 5,000 to 6,000 feet up in elevation, even a little bit higher, I believe. So it isn't too surprising that they do have the coldest temperature. And the highest precipitation report yesterday was in Gans, California, where they got 1.38 inches of precipitation. Much of that might actually have come in the form of snowfall in those areas. And actually, the snowfall report, the highest snowfall report, was 13 miles east-northeast of Wilsall, Montana, where they got 8 inches of snowfall reported there. Here's a look at the radars currently, and you can see that in Texas, at least, we're going to go through a couple different areas where we have some severe weather. In Texas, we are seeing a couple glitches with the radar, but for the most part, it is light rain, just steady rain, really just more of a nuisance, and nothing that's going to cause you too much travel headaches or any real issues for today over parts of eastern Texas. It will ramp up later tonight, however. Here is for parts of South Dakota, Nebraska, and Wyoming, as well as some of the surrounding areas. You can see that in both western and eastern South Dakota, we have two pockets of fairly strong convective storms. One there that's east of Rapid City, and another one that's near Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Both of those areas are dealing with some severe weather, rather strong storms, and then for those winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings, maybe even a little bit of snow in some of the higher terrain of Wyoming and northern Colorado as well. And then for probably the most robust severe weather band that we've seen so far today, and that we are seeing, that's in northeastern Wisconsin, believe it or not, where we actually have two separate bands technically, but I guess they're pretty close to each other. I think it's just a little gap here and there. So for the most part, just one big band that's moving through northeastern Wisconsin. I'm recording this right around 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. Central Time. So by the time this hits some of the bigger population centers, so let's say Green Bay, that would probably be right around 2:30, 3 p.m. Or actually, that would be probably 1:30 to 2 o'clock Central Time for you guys. So it is a fairly moderate moving event. It's really not moving too fast, not too slow either. So it's really going at a quite normal speed. We do have some pockets of heavy rain here and there, especially on the northern and southern tail end of this. It's about to cross over again closer to these big cities, so Green Bay, Oshkosh, Appleton, all these big cities in northeastern Wyoming about to get hit with a rather robust big band of severe weather. We already actually have a mesoscale discussion in place where they say there's actually a 20% chance that they issue a watch, and I think those chances probably went up to 40% since they've issued this. This is really strengthening since they've actually issued this. They're talking about potentially isolated large hail in this brown shaded area. And it's going to be mostly the right side of this brown shaded area, so mostly this area here that's going to be dealing with the bulk of the strong storms and severe weather. Here's what the actual Storm Prediction Center page looks like as of right now, and you can see that we have three different areas of slight risk for today. One through the southern and central plains, another one through parts of Nebraska, Kansas, and Colorado, and one more for Wisconsin. Now, since they've issued this, I'm assuming they would probably push that to the north, the slight risk right here, and also they would probably push this to the north a little bit too. So I think they have everything shifted a little bit too far to the south. Most of the action is actually up through parts of South Dakota and northern Nebraska, and also into northeastern Wisconsin. So I think they messed up a little bit on this, but again, that's coming from hindsight, and these were really unpredictable type of storms, so I really can't fault them too much for that. Here's the day 2 outlook for tomorrow, and you can see that we have a large area of marginal risk from Texas to New York, and then we have a smaller area of slight risk into southern Oklahoma and central Texas, where we see the bulk of the storms are expected. And then here's for the day 3 outlook for Thursday. Probably a more widespread area of marginal risk will be added, but for now, you can see that we have a marginal risk in effect for the areas in and around the Ohio River and in that general area. So West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kentucky, southern Indiana, all those areas dealing with a marginal risk, and then a huge area of general thunderstorm risk, which goes from parts of the Gulf Coast all the way to the Mid-Atlantic coast. So here's what the NAM model is showing, and we're going to take a broad view at the eastern United States. Right now, you can see not a lot going on, or not a lot that's really expected over the next couple of hours, but as we transfer into the evening hours, so I would say probably right around 8, 9, 10 o'clock Central Time, that's when it's going to really start to heat up, especially in parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas. So those areas is really going to start to heat up in those places. So this is by Wednesday, early in the morning. Still not a lot going on. You see some scattered storms in the central plains and also back through the Great Lakes again. Here would be by Wednesday morning. So tomorrow morning, this is when it starts to get going. So we have a low pressure through northern Texas. You can see that we start to see a little bit of a line of storms developing in northern Texas as well. We still have this first lead low pressure system moving to the east, and then we have again that follow-up to the south. And that we're going to be dealing with most of the action in terms of severe weather coming from the follow-up storm to the south. So you're going to start to see that by Wednesday in the early afternoon, we have most of the action back through southern Illinois, parts of Missouri, Kansas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and northern Texas. But it is still fairly disorganized. You can see a couple clusters here and there where we have some fairly decent, well-developed storms according to the NAM model. Again, this is by tomorrow, early in the afternoon. So this is right around 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time. And then as we continue this forward, here is by about 6 or 7 o'clock Central Time tomorrow, and we're dealing with more of those storms continuing to roll through parts of Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas, and then also through southern Texas, where we also have a little bit of a cluster of storms. These are going to continue to roll through. So this is by Thursday morning, around 7 in the morning Central Time, and we're dealing with a line of storms from northwestern Arkansas through Missouri into Illinois, and then just kind of hugging the Ohio River into southern Indiana and northern Kentucky, and then one more back to the south. And it's a really interesting shape type of system. You have a little bit of a low pressure in the center of this right here. We have our cold front to the south, and we have actually a little bit of a kind of mixed front where we have a warm front to the north. That's bringing in all that warm air being pushed up from the south, and because of that, we are dealing with this system really just pumping out some really decent, well-developed storms. So this is by Thursday morning. Here's by the early afternoon, and it really started to kind of die down after this. So if you live pretty much east of the Appalachians, I don't think this is going to be a big deal for you guys. It might re-strengthen a little bit, but it's definitely nothing that like what we're going to see in the Central Plains. So most of the bad weather is going to stay west of the Mississippi River. You head from the Mississippi to the Appalachians, and it looks like it could be some moderate, potentially strong severe weather at times, and then you get east to the Appalachians and it really dies down. You're not dealing with too much in the way of some severe storms. So this is by Thursday in the early afternoon. Here's what the high temperatures look like for today. These are really nice and warm temperatures for today over much of the country. We have 80s, where you kind of get into that dark red or dark orange shade, and then even in the grays, that's where we're dealing with 90 plus degree temperatures, even approaching 100 degrees in southern Texas. So really warm, no issue in terms of the amount of warm air that's available. Here's by tomorrow, and you can see even warmer for some of these areas along the East Coast. A little bit chillier if you live back through here, but if you live further to the east, it definitely will warm up. So you can see that 80 plus degree area all along the East Coast and also down through the southern United States. Go out and enjoy the beautiful sunshine for tomorrow, because you'll have some nice warm temperatures into the 80s, even 90s as you get further to the south. So really, really nice day today and also tomorrow as well. So if you can, go outside and go enjoy the warmer weather. I know I definitely will be going out and enjoying these 80s and 70s for today and tomorrow. And then here's the dew points as well. We have 60s over much of the central part of the country there, where we actually have 60 degree dew points going all the way up to Illinois, Wisconsin, and Iowa as well. So really, really humid air mixed in with all that warm air. Really not going to be too pleasant if you're mixed in with all that warm, muggy air. But if you're a little bit further to the east or to the west, and you avoid that pocket of air that's going to be super humid and moist, then you're going to be in a really nice position to just go and enjoy your afternoon with not too many thunderstorm issues, and also not too much mugginess in the atmosphere as well. This would be for later tonight, and then if we go to tomorrow night, you can see that we actually have those 60 plus degree dew points heading further to the east. So now everywhere west of the Appalachians is pretty much dealing with 60 plus degree dew points, even spreading along parts of the southeast as well, where we have some 60 plus degree dew points, even above 70 in some of these areas through parts of the central United States and the southern plains as well. Here to be by Thursday, and you can see this is when the warm, humid air does start to approach into the eastern United States. You have a little bit of a cutout in the southeastern United States where you avoid the really muggy, humid air. But if you live pretty much anywhere here that I'm circling right now, you're going to be dealing with those 60 to 70 degree dew points, and that could spark up a bit of severe weather in some of these areas. Here's the wind shear, because this is really not going to be too much of an issue, mainly because here's where your line at this time, the time that I'm taking this where I'm kind of capturing the wind shear, the line is in front of the wind shear. So you're not dealing with the line of storms heading in the middle of the wind shear. It's not really being engulfed in the wind shear. It's just spawning to the east side of it. So the trough is positioned right through here. You can see it on the map right there, where we have that little spine of blue and gray that kind of pops up in there. And that's where your trough is. And then ahead of this, we're dealing with a little bit of convergence, where you're dealing with some of that air moving to the north, some of that kind of taking a track to the south and to the east. And because of that, that's how you're getting that storm system to develop over those areas. And again, in this kind of pocket right here, this is where your line of storms is. Here is where the trough axis is. And you can kind of tell that just based on the map. And it's really good to look at the upper air maps. You get a much better idea of what actually is going to happen in the atmosphere, instead of just looking at the surface maps and just saying, well, it looks like there's going to be some thunderstorms today. When you actually analyze it in the upper part of the atmosphere, it really enhances how much you know about the weather, and it can help you in the future. And you can also just get a better interpretation in general of what may happen. Here's by tonight in terms of the amount of energy in the atmosphere, the convective available potential energy CAPE we're dealing with in the central United States, from Missouri down through Texas, 1,000 to 2,000 or even 3,000 CAPE at times in parts of, again, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, all those areas dealing with an elevated amount of CAPE. Here's by tomorrow afternoon, and we're dealing with still a rather high amount of CAPE for much of this area, from the Ohio Valley down to the southern plains. So many of these areas dealing with 400 to 500 plus CAPE in many of these areas. Here's the precipitable water. This is showing you how much water is in the atmosphere at any one given point. And you can see that we have many values that are above an inch and a half into the western Gulf Coast. But even if you get further to the north, we have 1 inch plus digits all scattered throughout the central United States. So really, no issue in terms of the amount of moisture or humidity or warm temperatures that would be needed in any sort of thunderstorm scenario here to be by tomorrow afternoon. You can see that we still have some rather high amounts of precipitable water, where we have even a few amounts getting above 2 inches closer to the thunderstorm. So really high amount of humidity and really just warm, muggy air that's in place, and that's what thunderstorms really are going to fuel off of. And even by Thursday afternoon, still really high amounts of precipitable water all throughout the eastern United States. Here's the amount of total precipitation or rainfall that is expected over the next 4 days, and you can see that we have amounts that are going to be 2 to 5 inches throughout this area, especially if you're in the reds and even the browns. That's where you want to be taking a little bit more precaution. And remember the slogan, don't turn around, don't drown. Really important to remember that, because it's really not worth it to go into a flooded roadway. Just try and find another detour if possible, because even a small amount of water, I believe it's just about 6 inches or a foot of water, can actually pull away your entire car. So really not worth it to do that. So just turn around and try avoiding any flooded roadways that you end up actually seeing on the roadway. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.